SCP-4505 is anomalous artwork in the Renaissance. So, I've never really been critical of art or anything. Like, I like a lot of game lore type art, you know what I mean? Like pictures of the different games that I like and some of the artwork from those. And I've always kind of shied away from creepy stuff too. Like I had friends that I grew up with, you know, went to their houses and they had like creepy paintings in their houses and stuff like that. It kind of creeped me out. So I typically stay away from a whole bunch of art, but more recently I've been getting into a lot because of the NFT space and stuff, and I'm even thinking about getting some. So hopefully I don't get anything anomalous. We're gonna react to something today from the Vulcan guys. Make sure to subscribe to their channel, subscribe to mine if you like reaction videos too, and let's get into this one.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Dr. Miller,
This is a
and
statue.
the SCP we're going to be looking at today is SCP-4505. Object Class: Safe.
Okay, good.
Special containment
Easily
procedures.
contained in.
The SCP-4505 collection is housed in Reliquary Site 14 for storage and display. A minimum of 3 Foundation archivists are to facilitate appropriate care and study of the collection. Any personnel involved in the research and/or containment of anomalous artwork may be granted gallery access for educational purposes, pending the completion and approval of Employee Access Request RS-14 EA3. SCP-4505 items featured in the observation gallery are to be rotated on a bi-monthly basis.
Okay.
Description:
So this is a gallery?
SCP-4505 is the collective designation for 265 safe-class anomalous artworks created between the 14th and 17th centuries as part of the cultural movement known as the Renaissance.
Right.
The original 130 pieces were previously listed as individual SCP objects until their eventual consolidation and sub-designation under the parent number of SCP-4505 as part of the SEK Object Class Initiative in 1914. Additional works have been acquired and added to the collection in subsequent years. The collection is available as an educational resource for Foundation employees.
Interesting.
The following is a truncated list of artifacts consolidated under SCP-4505. Staff members involved in the containment of any of SCP-4505 item must familiarize themselves with the entire collection before beginning work. See Anomalous History of Art, Volumes 23 to 24. Note that items are numbered in order of acquisition, not creation.
I got you.
Title: Pietà. Serial number: SCP-4505-035. Artist: Tondino. Year: 1623.
So it's from different artists.
Description: Animate marble sculpture depicting the Madonna weeping over the deceased Christ.
Now,
inspired by Michelangelo's sculpture of the same name, Tondino's piece diverges from the original by posing the Madonna knelt over her prone son. The figures are non-sentient and unresponsive to stimuli.
I've heard of the weeping
Madonna shakes her son and pantomime sobs, but produces no sound. The deceased Christ is not independently animate and makes no movements other than those instigated by the Madonna's physical interactions. Both figures feature realistic anatomy, visually emulating the elasticity and malleability of soft tissue within the context of the piece's internal action. However, physical contact from external sources will interact with the figures as solid marble. Several historical records pertaining to the piece describe an incident wherein a child's fingers were severed after playfully inserting them into the Madonna's mouth. These accounts are supported by recent internal imaging of the Madonna's stomach, which has revealed the presence of 11 fingers from no fewer than 3 different parties, as well as a large amount of coinage in various denominations.
She likes to bite.
Title: The Judgment of the Unrighteous. Serial number: SCP-4505-089. Artist: Unknown. Year: 1434. Description: Bronze door with sculpted relief panels depicting various scenes in hell as described in Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy. Anomalous phenomena occur when it has been viewed by a person who has recently committed an act deemed sinful by 15th century Catholic doctrine. Subjects who meet the above criteria will experience a cognito-hazard-induced hallucination wherein they are surrounded by indistinct, red-hooded figures. These figures are often observed holding and consuming the severed heads of cephalophoric saints. Effects subside entirely within 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh,
Title:
that's
Cardinal Del
unsettling.
Monte. Serial number:
Wow.
SCP-4505-118. Artist: unknown. Year: 1554. Description:
Life-size
oil portrait on canvas with accompanying section of wall. The painting depicts Innocenzo Chiacci del Monte, adopted nephew and possible lover of Pope Julius III.
Ooh.
The painting was removed from the papal palace multiple times after the death of Julius III in 1555, but always reappeared in the same place the following day. Attempts to destroy the piece were similarly undone. After several weeks' effort, it was decided that the entire section of wall where the painting hung was to be detached from the building and removed from the premises.
That's why the wall came with it. Interesting.
Title: The Elation of St. Paul. Serial number: SCP-4505-122. Artist: Jean Brodel. Year: 1495. Description: Oil on panel. The painting features an anomalous chiaroscuro effect which causes the lighting of the scene to change over a 24-hour period, with the movement of the sun, moon, and stars progressing in real time.
Okay.
The rest of the scene, which is otherwise static, features Paul the Apostle standing before a crowd in what is presumably the artist's interpretation of a Jewish synagogue. Okay. All figures are dressed in Italian formal wear common to the period.
It's all religious themed.
Paul is posed as though preaching to the assembly, albeit with a thick stream of honey pouring from his mouth. The heads of doves protrude from where his eyes would normally be found, and his fingers expel a milky substance which pools beneath him. Several bystanders are gathered around the puddle, using their hands to drink. Several sources suggest that the surreal imagery corresponds to Paul's martyrdom, as described in the Golden Legend. Title: Lorenzo Di Medici. Serial number: SCP-4505-164. Artist: unknown. Year: 1502. Description: An oil painting depicting the body of Lorenzo Di Medici in an advanced state of decomposition. It is one of the earliest known attempts at crafting a fully animate and intelligent reproduction of an existing human within a two-dimensional space. Due to split opinions regarding the sanctity of the piece, it remained out of view in deep storage at the Medicean Academy of Occult Arts until 1944. During the Second World War, numerous An artworks were disguised as traditional pieces and entrusted to the MFAA for protection, which subsequently allowed pieces such as SCP-4505-164 to be discovered and acquired by Foundation resources. See An Anomalous History of Art, Volume 81. Lorenzo allegedly commissioned the painting after he was drawn in by the artist's offers of immortality. The artist, whose identity remains unknown, succeeded in creating a painted likeness of Lorenzo that could hold conversations with viewers and move within the confines of its 126 by 104 centimeter surface as if it were a three-dimensional space. However, the depiction of Lorenzo proved to be more lifelike than intended and perished due to starvation several weeks after the painting was completed. Before its death, it reportedly subsisted on a bowl of fruit the artist had painted in the foreground, as well as an animate bird painted on a windowsill.
What the hell?
Title: St. Peter. Serial number: SCP-4505-201. Artist: unknown. Year: 1518. Description: Animate bronze sculpture created under the patronage of Pope Leo X. The piece was originally envisioned as a living idealization of St. Peter that could interact with the public and educate them on matters of biblical history and Catholic ideology. Though the project was initially successful, the piece began to question its own existence and subsequently developed a sense of individual identity, eventually culminating in a public renunciation of Christian belief. The church quickly removed the statue from public display. Records indicate the piece was scheduled to be destroyed, but for unknown reasons was instead gagged and buried in an unmarked plot, and remained there until it was accidentally discovered by a construction company nearly 5 centuries later. The figure has since been taken into Foundation care and given extensive counseling, though it still displays severe mental instability and social impediment as a consequence of its prolonged isolation.
I guess
a
so.
psychiatric evaluation carried out in 1986 can be found in Chapter 6 of An Annotated History of Art-Based Life by Gertrude Blau. The figure can be violent, but poses negligible threat to viewers as it cannot leave its 0.7 by 0.7 meter base. Title: The Mercy Stoop. Serial number SCP-4505-035. Artist: Agnolio Saloni. Year: 1441. Description: a plain gold basin set into an ivory stand with various scenes from the crucifixion of Jesus carved along its circumference. Any liquid poured into the basin gradually transmutes into blood over the course of 10 to 12 minutes.
What the heck?
Originally created to hold holy water, the piece showed no anomalous properties until the artist's death in 1446. It was acquired from an unknown vendor in 1961 by the Horizon Initiative for its apparent Eucharistic properties. The group presented it as a gift to the Foundation in 1992 after a scientific examination revealed the transmuted blood to be from a male Lipizan horse. Title: The Lamentation of St. Bartholomew. Serial number 4505-254. Artist: Garsucati. Year: 1576. Description: an unfinished oil painting on wood depicting St. Bartholomew in the process of being flayed from the heels up. The piece emits constant vocalizations of pain, which intensify in response to physical or auditory stimuli. No other animate characteristics have been observed. A notable degree of attention has been paid to the details in Bartholomew's exposed musculature, possibly influenced by anatomical drawings created by Andreas Vesalius in the years prior. The figures carrying out Bartholomew's flaying are dark and indistinct. It is not known if this was a creative decision or merely a consequence of the painting's incomplete state. The skin removed from Bartholomew's legs has been twined and knotted into a noose. The posing of the figures suggests that the noose is drawn closer to Bartholomew's head, with every inch of skin peeled from his back. Title: Trinity of the Red Court. Serial number SCP-4505-265. Artist: Data Restricted. Year: 1586. Description: oil on canvas. Christ is suspended in a dark void, hanging by the neck from a rope which extends out of frame. Those who view the painting for a prolonged period of time will gradually notice changes in its content. The effect resets after the viewer has looked away for more than 10 seconds. Changes are consistent among different viewers and viewing sessions and occur in the same sequence. Lacerations appear across the deceased Christ's body. A gesture is added to the lower left corner of the painting, pointing at the deceased Christ. Young children appear behind the gesture in a long line that extends into the darkness. A hooded figure mounted on a horse is added to the bottom right corner of the painting. The heels on the rider's shoes end in blood-stained spikes. Numerous puncture wounds appear on the side of the horse's body. Heavy chains appear around the hooded figure, binding its arms to its torso. The deceased Christ raises his arms toward the jester and rider. See Archetypes in Anart, Chapter 5, King, Clown, and Council. Christ's expression changes to a broad grin.
What the heck,
This concludes today's lecture. Thank you for listening, if indeed you still are, and you are all dismissed. Goodbye.
What the heck? All of these things was so weird. It's a biblical representation and a lot of twists to some fairly dark times, you know, in at least in biblical history. Weird, dude. It's creepy learning about. I could listen to that type of stuff all day, man. Like different paintings and stuff with all these anomalous things. Wow, this was really good, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the Vulcan. Subscribe to me if you like reaction videos too. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off, and we'll see you next time.